it is not that enough to manifest because you have killed my brother. This is just a wake-up call that South Africa need help.
Okay.
So, as the European Union has met 2 days ago because of people invading their borders, African leaders to meet to talk about how they will put a program in to help the development of South Africa after apartheid period.
Okay, Valentine, I know that Zimbabwe has repatriated some people from South Africa. Nigeria has gone even extreme to repatriate his High Commission from South Africa. Is that the way forward?
I don't think that's the way forward. But I just want to make a comment about what was being said earlier. I think we should move on from blaming what happened to Africa about the white supremacy and the colonization. We know that contributed partly to what happened. The situation in Africa, but we need to move on by looking at the real issues and trying to see how we can solve them, and looking at the core problems, because they come back to jobs. And what we are saying is there is lack of skills within South Africa that needs to be dealt with. If South Africa can start educating especially the young generation on entrepreneurship, so that they understand it's not a must for you to get a white collar job for you to move on in life. Because if they go and ban somebody's shop who's come with their own money to invest in a business, they need to learn that you don't necessarily need to go for those big skill jobs. You can start your own business that has an impact in your own community. And actually, removing people from South Africa, it just shows that could actually make it a bigger problem, because you'll start seeing the Nigerians saying, "Oh, South Africans, go away," and for us, in Kenya, we'll be saying, "Go back." So it will create all this, hatred within the continent. Let them deal with the problems, the real cause of the problem. If it's the jobs, if it's the lack of skills. Even if it will take another 20 years, they've been, apartheid has been very long. If it will take 10 years or 20 years to educate the community and educate their people to stand on their feet, that's what the government needs to do.
Well, we have to show our rage. People have to show they're not happy. Yeah, but after you've shown that you're not happy, there has to be a constructive plan on how to understand. Like I said earlier, freedom is difficult to manage. The South African people got their freedom. Apart from Mandela, the preceding leaders, successive leaders of South Africa, lost focus. They were more interested in building their own empires instead of building their own people. And this is the problem with Africa. When the white apartheid government was in place, those people did the best to develop their own people in South Africa. But when we took over, we the Africans, instead of looking at the quickest way we can transfer this wealth and economic center from the whites to, our people, they were more interested in building their own empires. So at the end of the day, I think the majority of us here will agree there's a failure of leadership on the ANC's part.
Zimbabwe, go.
What is the way forward? The way forward, and this whole thing is proof of it, is the need for African unity. Because I think my brother made the earlier point that all the problems in Africa are intertwined. They're the same. Health, education, employment, infrastructure, jobs, all these problems are the same as or wherever we are. So the way forward is to ferment the need for African unity. Come together as one block of people. Not the Ghanaian, Nigerian, because Ghana, Nigeria, they can't compete with Europe or America or Asia. All over the world, you see these people coming together. You have the ASEAN, Korea, China, Japan, India, all coming together. In Europe, you have the European Union coming together. In America, you have Canada, US, Mexico all coming together. South America, Brazil, Bolivia, Peru, all Argentina all come together to solve their own problems. So we as Africa need to come together and solve our own problems by having, you could say, a United States of Africa to solve our problems of inequality, health, to provide our people with decent water, decent electricity, proper jobs, housing, etc. That will stop all this impoverishment and it will stop all this thing from Africa wanting to leave the country and getting boats from Libya to join to Italy, join in the Mediterranean. So if you come together like our forefathers had intended, form a United States of Africa, whereby we trade together. Because this thing of me going to your country is not a new thing. Even before slavery, Ashantis were trading with Yoruba. Yoruba were trading with Ghana. Ghana were trading with Wolof. Kokoyi were trading with the Hutus. We've been trading for each other for centuries. You understand? And there was no fighting amongst us at that time.
Okay.
So
okay.
So unity is for me the way forward.
Okay, Doctor. That is Kwame's one is in the broad sense. What should be the way forward in dealing with this particular issue that has arisen in Africa?
I mean, what the colleague said is a hope and wish that would happen, but that will take a long time.
Yeah.
We really need a proactive reaction to this, not really negative reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And also, always I really see that the leaders, the politicians, should appreciate the contribution that the foreigners do to the economy of their countries. I think that actually will help people to acknowledge that these guys are not just grabbing from us. And as we all agree that all these things are fueled by the politicians, because when they fail, they try someone to blame. And normally are the foreigners in all cases, as you see. Instead, we should really be acknowledging that these guys contributing to our economy, and we should appreciate and welcome them. They are our problem.
Africa is known to be a very religious continent. The religious bodies, what role should they be playing in this?
African Union is a collective of countries, isn't it?
Yeah.
For Africa, and sit down, have a meal, talk about what's going on. But with reference to South Africa, who's there to point a finger first?
But we have Desmond Tutu there, Bishop.
Tutu is with the Dalai Lama. He's not even at home. It's very disappointing. Even Gracia Machel, the former first lady, we haven't heard anything.
Yes.
People are being killed. Being mutilated in the street. Winnie Mandela. You'd have expected big personalities to come out and condemn.
She's condemned. She said that she feels the ANC has lost its way. I read an article in one of the journals in South Africa. She said that the violence is basically a failure of the ANC. She condemned it here.
Julius Malema.
Yes. Yes.
Julius Malema has been very, very vocal. Yes. The biggest outrage or biggest reaction from the African continent is because this has been a second slap too many. It happened in 2008.
Yes.
64 people mutilated in the streets. And okay, we turn the blind eye. Okay, fine, you can sort out your demons and everything. 7 years down the line, it happens exactly again. 7 people, too many. It should never happen. Yeah. And we don't want to see this happen again. So whatever is coming to South Africa right now, they have got to face it. They've got to see at face value, this is exactly what we've done, and we have to do something. So what we can say, the way forward right now is South Africa is faced with a PR disaster, international relations disaster. It can never live as an island on its own. It needs its neighbors. It needs its businesses to keep going. It needs to keep its people on its side. Like if we go back again, it goes back to education and everything. That is serious homework that Jacob Zuma, even the Kingswell Tinnies, they all have to sit down and educate their people. Because even if the foreigners have no chance on those jobs, let's be very honest about it. It's unlike here, you can can be in this country with a PhD, or maybe that's too far for a PhD, but some with a master's degree or even a degree, you'll be a carer there for a long time. You'll be a postman, you can be wherever. You'll never get that job in the bank, you know. You'll never get that job in the IT company if you are an African, especially original African like myself, with a surname like mine. You see, so there's always that process of elimination. So what I'm saying, it's unlike back in South Africa where it's open, we've got the qualification, the job is there, it's there for you. So let's think and put ourselves in the position where the ordinary South African is standing. You know, they've taken it into their own hands, the completely wrong way, a very regrettable way of doing things. But has it worked? Have people started leaving the country? Yes, they have. Thousands have left the country. You see, we should look at that, but it's the wrong way of doing it. But people, the result is...
Your last words for the nation of South Africa and Africa in general as to how we react to this. And then if you could give us an idea of your organization and what is in store for people of Nottingham in the coming months.
Okay. My message to South Africa is it is time to look back inward and look back at the independence that South Africa has achieved and what it means. It wasn't achieved by South Africans alone. There was public awareness programs going on around the world, even in Europe. You know, a lot of people helped, the neighbors helped for you South Africans to have the freedom that you have today, and we hope that you keep enjoying that happiness. At the same time, the spirit of Ubuntu should be recognized. The spirit of Africanness, Pan-Africanism. We're all one people. Speaking on behalf of the African community of Nottingham, ACN, South Africans within our community do not feel as if you've been secluded, even when you try to engage in debates and discussion about what's going on at home. Most or some of South Africans have not been very forthcoming. They have not been coming out, you know, to want to discuss what's been happening at home. It is regrettable. Would have wanted to know what the situation is back home, in reality especially. And we just hope we meet in the events that are coming forward in Africa, in Nottingham. And one last thing, May 23rd, 2015, Edwards Lane Community Center, we are holding our Africa Day celebrations again this year in the same venue that we always hold it. So we'll see you from 2 o'clock to...
Your last word, Chairman of the Sudanese community here in Nottingham.
Yes, I just hope that we learn from our history and also learn from the story that we passed through. I mean, these things are happening again and again, happening in different countries, but we never learn the lessons. One key way through is really don't do what you hate to others, what you hate to yourself. And you can put yourself in the position of the other and see whether he would be happy with that. I think that will definitely stop you from doing what you possibly try to do to others.
All right. So what is happening with the Sudanese community? What do you do on weekends? I know on weekends you do
we have activities like after class, after school classes on Saturdays. We just form a new committee, and we have also planned to introduce some programs for youth, because during the last few days, possibly you may have quite a number of youth tried to travel to Syria, joining ISIS and so on. So really, we see that there's a big danger, especially with our youth, teenagers and so on, who find themselves quite isolated. And I think this is one of the programs that we really want to overtake. and try to help to support individuals and groups so that our teenagers and youth won't get isolated and fall in the hands of also.
Yeah, I think my appeal will go out to basically to the government of South Africa in trying to deal with this issue, this unfortunate issue of violence against South Africans. Yesterday, ironically, was supposedly Freedom Day in South Africa, and I think that the government of South Africa, if Freedom Day is to mean anything, they must not abandon the charter and the ideals of which freedom was fought for, which is justice, equality, and fairness. And I think the government of South Africa owes it to the people of South Africa, particularly the impoverished black people, to deliver on the promise of freedom, equality, and all, regardless of one's colour. To the people of South Africa, I say that do not view your brother or sister as a foreigner. We are all Africans, understand? And we are one people with one destiny, with one God, and that's how I want to say on that.
All right. The number one people that hold the solution to South Africa's problem is the South African leadership, the political leadership, particularly. But they have spent more of their energy, their time, and their focus on building their own empires instead of building their own people. 20 years down the line, 21 years since apartheid ended, they could have been able to at least to an extent, take the South African people out of poverty and backwardness. That could have avoided this situation. But they got carried away by power, like most other African nations, including my own country, Nigeria. And that is what has led to this. So my message would go to the South African leadership, if they could hear me now. They should find a way to address their people's problem, because this is not has nothing to do with primarily with the foreigners. It's got to do with their own value of leadership. So that's my own message to the South African people, and particularly the leadership.
I'll repeat what I said. I think the leadership in South Africa has to go to the root of the problem and try to solve that. And the message to all the people in South Africa and everywhere else in Africa, united we stand, but if we don't work together, we'll fall. Just to tell you about some of the events Mojatu will be doing. We will be having a Kenya Fun Day in a farm near Screviton. We've been working with an English farmer who's keen on engaging Africans in farming and seeing how we can grow collaborations between the UK farmers and African farmers. So that will be on the 9th of May from 10 o'clock until 5 o'clock. And we are organizing an Africa night as well. The message is already out, and people can ring Mojatu for information. And our number is 0115-8457-009. And we are also organizing an international FGM conference, Female Genital Mutilation Conference, on the 3rd of September. And we hope the Africans, especially who come from countries where FGM is practiced, can take part in the discussions. We now have an FGM steering group where we are encouraging people to join the discussions. And it's important if we deal with the problem as our own problem, rather than feeling that it has to be done by somebody else.
This sad infants is just a wake-up call to South African leadership to do a quick reform of their politics and how they manage their people. And coming back to Africa as a whole, the Ubuntu spirit should prevail. I am because we are. South African people cannot do it alone. And may the governments of here and there, especially South Africa, stop blaming other governments. That is not a positive way of construction. They should come with a positive response to this. And as far as presenting apology and asking for help, and I'm saying it again, those people in South Africa, they need help. We should come as a whole to help them stand again on their feet, to learn how to work as a free people. That is also, it's a very huge program to learn. You said that freedom is hard to be managed than slavery. So they need to learn how to work as I'm seeing Nelson Mandela performing his dance. Yeah, they need to learn that so that they can come out of this. And as far as our commitment in this community of Nottingham, I am a part of Eastern region as well. We are planning to launch this noble institution very soon if everything's okay in the summer. We will start quickly to put date on, and you will know. This is also a product of my efforts. That human beings just means that we should put focus on human beings and not on profits. It is a way of reading life. So
maybe the South African leadership should.
Yeah, yes, they should put focus on their people and not on profit, not building their empire. So that after 20 years, no, okay, let's have running water in homes. So this is, I'm grateful for this event, and if we can have it again, we will deal of our matters.
In terms of the xenophobia and the violence that we have seen on television, they were very shocking, but we were not very surprised, because we think the South African black have a lot of issues. That's just a symptoms of a very deep disease and lack of opportunities and development in South Africa. South Africa stopped with Mandela being the president. There is nothing substantial that has happened in South Africa to bring the black South African to the required level of development, and that's hunger of that. But it is manifested in a way that is very backward and very savage. And I think, as far as African, I think we need to come together and understand that it's a time to be together. It's time to show deep understanding of the issue of social development. Many African countries had at least 50 years of finding their own way towards the development, and also toward understanding that development is in our hands. It's not someone else giving you the development, but you decide where to take it. So, in terms of the action and acts of barbaric nature that happen in South Africa, we need to take this as a lesson that when you leave a community for such a long time without opportunities, then it's a recipe for disaster. It just reminded me, like in 1994, the Rwandan people that were taught to hate one another, and then they were given an opportunity to kill one another, and we had 1 million killed within 100 days. So there are similarities. So we've seen this before, but we've seen also that country can turn around. So if country is serious, the South African government, South African institutions are serious about their population, this is the time to put strong emphasis on education, opportunities and employment for their communities and change this trend. Rwanda, for example, after 21 years, the country is one of 5 in Africa that are prospering in all sort of direction. For South Africa, it should be no-brainer because it's a country that has enough resources, and it is overdue to really support the South African blacks to reach and to plug that gap that is there. There is definitely a gap, and that gap needs something to plug it. I think this message, it may look very pacifist message, a non-violence message, but I don't see any other way. I know people are thinking about putting sanction against South Africa. There are all sorts of ideas going around, but I think in Africa we need one another. Everyone is needed in Africa. All of us, we need to keep the unity that we need so vitally, and to achieve the dream of Kwame Nkrumah and other pioneers, we need to bring Africans together and understand that we are in the journey and we are in so different steps of journey, like the train, and some people are the top of the train and others are still joining the journey. I very much appreciate the opportunity that has been given to us to really go into depth and understand what is going on with ourselves. But I think we learn from mistakes, we learn from bad experiences, and I think if there is one lesson that we must take from this, is that if you deprive people from opportunities, then they might go back and be animals.
It's been very nice talking to you, gentlemen and the lady. My name has been Jacob from Insight Media, and we want to give our sincere gratitude to Mojatu for helping bring up this show. We cannot forget ACN, the mother of all African communities here in Nottingham, and of course to Insight Media. We thank you so much. My last word is that, like Dr. Siddiq said, you do unto others as you yourself will want others do unto you. And that is the golden rule of life. If you know, if you are beaten and you will not be happy, you don't beat people. Until we meet next time, have a blessed and a peaceful day. Thank you.
Smart Sound. Smart Sound.